PurTech is a hypothetical national and global pet technology company focused on improving feline health, safety, and enrichment. Its products include smart feeding systems, interactive toys, modular habitats, carriers, and other technology designed to support cats and the people who care for them. The organization employs workers across retail, manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, engineering, product design, customer service, marketing, administration, and leadership. Because Pertech operates across many types of positions and locations, it needs a human resource strategy that is consistent, inclusive, and adaptable. Its approach is built around one central belief: ethical character and willingness to learn are more valuable than resume prestige or years of experience alone. Pertech therefore hires for integrity and potential, invests in employee development, and creates long term pathways for growth. Pertech is a national and global feline pet technology company whose HR strategy rests on one conviction: ethics comes before experience, credentials, or personality. This slide frames the three commitments that organize the rest of the presentation. First, ethics before experience. Pertech screens candidates for integrity at the very start of selection because skills and credentials can be taught or funded, while ethical character cannot be trained around. Applicants who do not meet the minimum ethical standard do not continue, regardless of pedigree or years of experience. Second, develop before replacing. Employees are developed rather than discarded. Training, feedback, and internal mobility are available to all employees, converting ethical potential into competent performance and giving people real opportunities to improve before any replacement decision is made. Third, inclusion and psychological safety. Diversity is actively supported through fair systems, broad outreach, accessibility, and barrier removal, and a psychologically safe culture allows employees to ask questions, admit mistakes, and raise concerns without fear. The core principle to emphasize verbally is that Pertech hires for ethics and potential, invests in training, and creates long term pathways for employee growth. Pertech's ethical standards apply not only to employees and leaders, but also to contractors, consultants, vendors, suppliers, distributors, and other business partners. The company will not knowingly benefit from deception, coercion, exploitation, discrimination, retaliation, unsafe practices, animal mistreatment, privacy violations, or other unethical conduct carried out on its behalf. Business partners must agree to Pertech's code of conduct, cooperate with legitimate investigations, protect confidential information, and provide safe channels for reporting concerns. Substantiated serious or repeated violations may result in corrective action, suspension, or termination of the business relationship. Pertech will not outsource conduct that it would prohibit internally. Pertech uses two early recruiting technologies to create a fair and ethics centered hiring process. Blind resume screening removes names, photographs, addresses, graduation dates, and other demographic cues before the initial review. This limits the influence of age, educational prestige, personal networks, and other information that may create conscious or unconscious bias. Pertech does not treat extensive experience as proof of competence or integrity. The initial review instead considers basic role relevance, trainable potential, and willingness to learn. Candidates who advance then complete a digital ethics and integrity assessment before Pertech invests additional time in interviews, skills tests, or work samples. Standardized scenarios evaluate honesty, accountability, confidentiality, safety, animal welfare, willingness to admit mistakes, and response to unethical pressure. Candidates who do not meet the minimum ethics threshold do not continue. The EEOC explains that employment tests and selection procedures must be job related, applied consistently, and monitored for discriminatory effects. Together, blind review and standardized ethics screening help Pertech broaden access while maintaining its central principle. Skills and credentials can be developed, but integrity is the minimum condition for employment. Pertech uses two personality related assessments and two skills assessments, but each tool serves a different purpose. The work style trait assessment focuses on conscientiousness, openness to experience, emotional stability, and commitment to excellence. Conscientiousness reflects reliability, follow through, accountability, and attention to standards. Openness to experience reflects curiosity, adaptability, and willingness to learn. Emotional stability reflects self regulation and thoughtful responses under pressure. Commitment to excellence means dedication to high quality ethical work, accountability for results, responsiveness to feedback, and continuous improvement without equating excellence with perfectionism or overwork. PerTech does not emphasize agreeableness or extroversion as general hiring factors. Agreeableness may reflect surface level pleasantness rather than honesty or moral courage, while extroversion is a communication preference rather than proof of competence, ethics, leadership, or customer service ability. The Myers Briggs type indicator is used only after hiring. It helps managers adjust communication, coaching, feedback, conflict resolution, and team development practices. MBTI results are never used to reject applicants, deny promotions, or decide whether an employee is capable of performing a role. The two skills assessments are directly connected to selection. The critical thinking assessment asks candidates to analyze realistic problems, identify evidence, distinguish facts from assumptions, recognize risks, and explain a defensible decision. The job specific work sample asks candidates to perform a realistic task from the role. These tools allow applicants from non traditional backgrounds to demonstrate reasoning and ability without excessive reliance on resume polish, educational pedigree, credentials, or years of experience. The EEOC explains that employment tests must be job related, applied consistently, and monitored for discriminatory impact. PerTech therefore uses personality information to support employees and job related skills evidence to select them. PerTech uses one hybrid compensation system for every employee, regardless of title, department, or organizational rank. The system combines ethical accountability, performance based growth, and annual seniority recognition. Each element serves a different purpose, but together they support fairness, retention, continuous improvement, and long term organizational success. Ethics is the performance gate. Ethical conduct is not an optional factor that earns extra compensation. It is the minimum condition for every positive performance rating and pay increase. Results obtained through deception, coercion, exploitation, discrimination, retaliation, concealment, or unsafe practices do not qualify as successful performance. For example, a salesperson who produces exceptional revenue by misleading or pressuring customers would not receive a merit increase simply because the sales numbers were high. After a fair and well documented investigation, substantiated intentional misconduct may result in disciplinary action or termination, regardless of the employee's profitability, rank, influence, or status. PerTech conducts two formal performance reviews each year. The 6 month review is developmental. It clarifies expectations, recognizes strengths, identifies performance gaps, provides training or support, and establishes written goals so employees have a fair opportunity to improve. The 12-month review evaluates annual performance and determines compensation adjustments. Feedback also continues throughout the year so that employees do not first learn about an alleged performance problem when pay decisions are made. The merit system uses a transparent rating scale. Employees rated satisfactory receive no additional merit increase. Good performance earns 1%, excellent performance earns 2%, and exceptional performance earns 3%. Merit increases reward measurable performance, improvement, initiative, skill development, and role specific contribution. A satisfactory rating means that the employee is successfully meeting the requirements of the position. It is not a failing rating. Every employee who completes 1 year of service, meets PerTech's ethical standards, and receives at least a satisfactory rating also receives a 3% annual seniority increase. This increase recognizes continued service, reliability, accumulated organizational knowledge, and the value of retaining experienced employees. The company also intends this increase to help employees preserve purchasing power as living costs rise. Employees who continue performing satisfactorily therefore receive wage growth even when they do not earn an additional merit increase. The same framework applies to every position, including security personnel, warehouse employees, managers, engineers, sales professionals, human resources staff, and executives. Performance standards differ because each role has different responsibilities, but no position is considered inherently more important than another. PerTech's compensation philosophy is designed to create a highly skilled, ethical, and loyal workforce whose experience, trust, and sustained performance become a lasting competitive advantage. Bona fide seniority systems are lawful when they are applied consistently and are not created or maintained for discriminatory purposes. Pertech offers 8 discretionary benefits designed to support employees across their careers, families, health needs, and major life transitions. The first is an internal career development benefit. Employees receive paid monthly exposure to other roles, may complete optional e learning for positions that interest them, and receive structured on the job training when selected for a new role. Pertech also funds approved education, certification, licensing preparation, and up to 2 examination attempts because the company would rather develop an ethical employee than overlook that employee simply because a credential is still in progress. Flexible scheduling allows employees to request options such as adjusted start and end times, shift exchanges, compressed schedules, hybrid work where appropriate, and gradual return to work arrangements. Paid parental and caregiving leave includes at least 6 weeks of paid recovery leave for employees who give birth, 4 weeks of bonding leave for non birthing, adoptive, and foster parents, and additional caregiving leave when complications arise. The Employee Assistance Program provides confidential counseling, crisis support, grief assistance, financial guidance, and other resources for employees and their households. Childcare and dependent care assistance may include subsidies, backup care, referrals, flexible arrangements during emergencies, and support for employees caring for children, older adults, or family members with disabilities. Many locations will have on site childcare and private nursing rooms. Pertech also provides at least 2 weeks of paid bereavement and grief leave. The policy recognizes immediate family, household members, chosen family, and other significant relationships rather than limiting support to narrow legal definitions of family. Finally, the holistic wellness and serious illness benefit helps cover approved wellness services and significant expenses that traditional insurance may not fully address. This may include complementary care, transportation, caregiving costs, and other medical gaps. Pertech's goal is to ensure that an employee facing cancer or another serious illness does not have to manage that burden alone. Together, these benefits strengthen recruitment and retention, but more importantly, they demonstrate that Pertech treats employees as whole people whose health, families, grief, growth, and long term stability matter. Meaningful development and workplace support can also increase employees' willingness to remain with an organization. Pertech's training strategy begins with a simple principle: ethical people can be developed. Hiring someone with integrity and potential is only the first step. HR must then provide the knowledge, practice, and feedback needed to turn that potential into strong performance. For employees, training builds confidence, clarifies expectations, and creates real opportunities for promotion and internal mobility. It can also improve job satisfaction, strengthen earning potential, and give employees greater security because they are continuing to build useful skills. Research reported by SHRM shows that employees are more likely to remain with organizations that provide meaningful learning and development opportunities. Pertech also benefits directly. A well trained workforce performs more consistently, adapts more easily to new products and technology, makes fewer errors, and creates a stronger internal talent pool. Training can reduce turnover and replacement costs because the company is developing current employees before looking outside the organization. Most importantly, Pertech treats learning as an ongoing part of employment rather than a one time onboarding activity. Training, feedback, and internal mobility are available to everyone. That approach supports the company's develop before replacing philosophy and helps convert ethical potential into competent, lasting performance. Pertech uses a blended learning model because employees do not all learn effectively through the same method. The first stage is monthly role exposure. Employees spend time observing another position, learning how that team functions, and practicing appropriate tasks under guidance. This gives employees a broader understanding of the organization and helps them identify roles they may want to pursue. The second stage is optional e learning. Once employees discover an area of interest, they can complete self paced online modules that introduce the knowledge required for that role. E learning is especially useful because it provides consistent content across locations, allows employees to review material more than once, and gives them flexibility to learn around work and family responsibilities. Employees who are selected for a new position then receive on the job training. This stage is essential because online instruction cannot fully replace hands on practice, immediate feedback, observation, and supervised decision making in a real work setting. Mentoring and regular feedback continue throughout the transition so that employees can ask questions, correct mistakes, and develop confidence without fear of embarrassment. The complete pathway is role exposure, optional e learning, internal application, selection, and on the job training. Together, these methods support internal mobility and allow Pertec to develop ethical employees into competent performers rather than immediately replacing them with outside hires. Pertec defines 30 hours per week as full time employment. Employees who work 30 hours receive full time status and access to the same health and employment benefits available to other full time employees. The purpose of this policy is to support work life balance, caregivers, students, employees with disabilities, and others who may benefit from a shorter standard work week. Pertec also pays non exempt employees time and a half for every hour worked beyond 30 in a work week. Federal law generally requires overtime pay after 40 hours, but employers may adopt a more generous standard. Overtime should be approved in advance, but every hour actually worked must still be recorded and paid. Unauthorized overtime may be addressed as a policy issue, but it cannot simply go unpaid. Required training and role exposure activities also occur during paid working hours. Full time employees receive comprehensive health coverage, including medical, dental, and vision benefits, along with additional wellness support. These benefits protect employees and their families while also helping Pertec recruit and retain a stable workforce. Research on employee development and workplace support shows that employees are more likely to remain with organizations that make meaningful investments in their well being and long term success. Together, the 30-hour workweek, enhanced overtime policy, and comprehensive health benefits reflect Pertec's belief that employee well being is a legitimate organizational priority rather than a reward employees must earn. This slide highlights 4 federal employment laws that are especially important for Pertec's HR team. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin in decisions such as hiring, compensation, promotion, and termination. The Americans with Disabilities Act protects qualified employees and applicants with disabilities and requires reasonable accommodations when they can be provided without creating an undue hardship. The Fair Labor Standards Act establishes federal requirements for minimum wage, overtime, record keeping, and child labor. Although federal law generally requires overtime after 40 hours, Pertec exceeds that standard by paying time and a half after 30 hours. The Family and Medical Leave Act allows eligible employees to take up to 12 weeks of unpaid job protected leave for qualifying family and medical reasons while maintaining health coverage. Pertec's affirmative action and diversity commitment is active rather than passive. The organization does not simply prohibit discrimination and assume that equal opportunity will happen automatically. Human resources must examine recruiting, hiring, compensation, promotion, training, accessibility, and advancement practices to identify and remove barriers that may prevent qualified people from participating fully. Inclusive hiring includes broad outreach to underrepresented communities, blind resume screening, accessible application systems, and consistent selection standards. Equitable opportunity continues after hiring through fair pay practices, reasonable accommodations, transparent promotion criteria, and equal access to training, development, and internal mobility. U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, 2007. Psychological safety is essential because employees must be able to ask questions, admit mistakes, challenge decisions, and report concerns without fear of humiliation or retaliation. Psychological safety does not mean freedom from accountability. It means that employees can tell the truth, raise concerns in good faith, and participate honestly in correcting problems. Edmondson, 2018. Accountability applies to everyone, including employees, managers, executives, human resources personnel, contractors, and business partners. When misconduct is alleged, the concern must be investigated fairly, impartially, and with appropriate confidentiality. Employees may appeal findings or employment decisions they believe were unfair, incomplete, inconsistent, or affected by bias. Any appeal should receive an independent review by a person or panel that did not participate in the original decision. Through inclusive systems, psychological safety, consistent accountability, and independent review, Pertech turns its commitment to diversity and fairness into everyday organizational practice.